Hey, what's up? GW coming to you live. First announcement is that yesterday I went to a wedding. My cousin Sarah got married to her fiance, Joseph Zona, and I just wanted to say congratulations to the two of them. And I hope that you guys are very happy together. And again, congratulations. Marriage is a pretty big step, and it was cool to see you get married, Sarah. So that's awesome. All right, now let's jump into what I know most of you are checking this out for, the review of Don't Go Into the House. Now, before I talk about this movie, there's a couple things about this movie that are pretty interesting. Well, one in particular, that the opening scene caused this movie to be listed on the United Kingdom's Video Nasty list. And I always like that, whenever something is always banned or whatever in another country, I always like checking it out because we don't ban nothing. We don't cut nothing. And if something is in, its censored form over there, usually it's over here. Case in point, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Banned pretty much in Germany, I believe. At least it was banned for a little while. Years. And I think a couple years ago it actually, was released in its final form. I Spit on Your Grave is another one. Last House on the Left. There's like 18 cuts of that movie. So it does always interest me when, things are deemed, too nasty for John Q. Public in other countries. I think that's pretty cool. And that's why I love America, because we can put out what we want. We don't censor our stuff because we, unlike them, unlike other countries, United States and, North America, we pretty much let people choose what they want to watch. But anyway, Don't Go Into the House has another title to it as well. It's called The Burning, not to be confused with the 1981 Friday the 13th-esque film about Cropsey, a guy who was burned alive in a nasty summer camp prank and comes back and murders tons of teenagers, and it also stars Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. That's not this Burning. This Burning is a different type of movie. It's much more psychological, but it is pretty wicked in nature. Now there are 3 cuts of this movie. There is the on the Blu-ray that I just watched. There is the censored TV cut. Why they would have put that on there, I really don't know, but they did add some more scenes to the TV cut. There's the theatrical cut, which is the one that I'm most familiar with until today. And there's the integral cut, which runs a little bit longer than the theatrical cut, because what they did is they took the theatrical cut and the extra cuts from the television version and sort of added them up in there. Now, as I said before, this is a pretty nasty piece of film, but it is interesting when you go back because you can see that movies like this are not really made this way anymore. And I'm talking about everything from camera work to makeup, as opposed to story. This is a pretty original story, and I think it's pretty cool. It's about a character named Donnie Kohler, who's played by Dan Grimaldi. And, well, his character suffers from a lot of things. Abuse at the hands of his mother, which we see in a flashback that's pretty intense, to watching a coworker in an incinerator catch on fire. Now, when Donnie's mother passes away in the movie, which is fairly early, by the way, his mother was actually played by a guy, John Hedberg. You never know it. But when his mother passes away, it kind of messes with him a little bit because he lives with her. Donnie becomes obsessed with fire and starts hearing voices to cleanse the evil. Well, It's not too long after that before the infamous scene that got this movie banned in other countries shows up on your TV. It's a scene where he eventually builds a burn room, complete with solid steel, fire resistant steel, rather. And we find a victim that he picks up hanging from chains, naked, a female victim. And then he dons a firefight or a flame retardant suit, complete with a flamethrower, and decides to do what he needs done. He also dumps gasoline on her. This scene in particular was really the cause of the banning in the other countries. Now, when you watch it, it is tame compared to some of the horror movies out there that I have seen, but still shocking in its own right. It culminates on him slowly descending into madness. He even confronts a priest, and played by Charles Bonnet. None of the actors in here, I don't think, are well-known actors, to be honest with you. But it culminates into his spiral, his descent into madness. The ending, they left it open-ended, but a sequel was never produced, guys. And I don't know why. I really don't know why at all. Because you could have made one more movie off of this, because it ends open-ended. Now, the film was directed by Joseph Ellison, and I don't know if it's any relation to Bret Ellison, who wrote the American Psycho novel. But this was one of the, I would say, first 1980s slasher. It actually was released in 79. And like I said, there's 3 different cuts of the movie, which is nice. It's interesting to see the title track for the original name, The Burning. And there was actually a lot of hype surrounding this movie. Like, if you look it up, apparently people do want to watch that scene with the flamethrower and the chick in the burn room. But Amazon Prime apparently has this streaming now. From what I understand, it is the censored version. I really haven't watched it. But this Severin video is the way to go. Because they really pack a lot of stuff in here, guys. And this is one of those ones that you watch and you can see it starts a trend. Now, a lot of people, too, have also compared Donnie Kohler's character to Leatherface, in which he wields the weapon. It's interesting in its own right. There is a scene, too, at the disco that's pretty shocking, and I haven't seen a scene quite like it in a horror film, where he starts to really snap, and he ends up burning, causing burn damage to a girl's face. Now, I will say this, the makeup in this movie for the charred victims is pretty wicked. If you go back to the movie Deranged, that movie about serial killer Ed Gein, it's almost the same type of makeup and look. So that must have been a thing around 78, 79, the makeup look. The movie is shocking still, and like I said, when you watch it, you can... The one thing I do like about this movie is you watch this character descend into madness. It's all these triggers, and all of a sudden it's just a downward spiral, and then watching that scene is very shocking. Now, there was a different alternate cut of that, obviously, for the TV version. Probably not as intense. But, yeah, it's definitely worth a watch in its own right. And like I said, they do not make movies like this. The other thing I will comment is when you watch this, the atmosphere of the film, it makes you... It just looks you know, terrifying. When you first see the house, you know, you could watch that and just see the house and you just get a chill, before anything happens. Um, and it's interesting to see Donnie's character, or Dan Grimaldi's character, Donnie, go through this gamut of emotions, and you watch him become a, from a very sad, very upset person about his mother's death to slowly disconnecting with reality to becoming, pretty much batshit crazy. And it's neat. And I'll tell you what, Dan Grim, I can't even talk this morning. Grimaldi really nails that performance, as a man losing it. And, the way he portrays it is just perfect. So, definitely, definitely an interesting piece of cinema. I don't know that this was a widely, financially profitable movie. I do know that it is definitely worth a watch. But it's really, in a word, disturbing when you watch it. Especially how someone could, like in the movie Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, how someone could easily just, think what they're doing is right, and the voices are another aspect of the film. When he starts hearing voices, it does become creepy, you know? So don't go into the house, aka The Burning, is definitely one of the, I would say, classic, controversial, best controversial movie, one of the best controversial horror movies I've seen. In the fact that it doesn't overdo itself and it really tries to take itself very seriously. The only complaint that I have is that, you know, the sequel, like I said, we could have had a sequel, in which case I think one more would have been good. But as far as, dealing with things that set a guy off, it does a pretty good job of showing you, psychologically, when someone's not in their right mind, how quickly they snap. And that's what this film does. And it does it in such a way that it's, like I said, not overblown. It's not, you know, silly or goofy. It handles it in a very serious manner. So definitely check that out. And again, congratulations to Joseph and Sarah. I hope your marriage is pretty awesome. And well, that's really all I got to say. But yeah, definitely check out the Amazon Prime. It's streaming for free if you're a Prime member. Don't go into the house. But like I said, I did hear it's a censored version. I watched the integral cut, and I can tell you there is some sequences that are different from the theatrical cut. That I can tell you. Just little things that I remember that weren't in the film. So, if you're interested, Don't Go Into the House, aka The Burning, 1979. Directed, again, by Joseph Ellison. Thank you.